It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So today we're going to be having a look at a keycap set. Now the backstory on this is that I reached out to the Australian keyboard community both on Facebook and on Reddit. Sorry, on Discord, not Reddit. And I said, what do you want me to have a look at next? I have an opportunity to get something courtesy of Banggood and throw me some suggestions. So I ran a poll, and what came back from the poll was that people wanted to see a keycap set of a cloned keycap set. If you're not into keyboards heavily, that might not make a lot of sense to you, but bear with me. So I went back to my rep and I said, they're interested in seeing keycap sets. So what have you got? And they offered me 5 different sets, and I once again went back to the community and said, which one out of these 5s do you want to see? And the end result vote was the set that Banggood sent to me. Now, this video is brought to you by Banggood. Thank you to Banggood for sending me this keycap set. However, everything that I say today, my opinions and thoughts in regards to this set, the quality of the set, the manufacturing of the set, is all 100% my own. The good, the bad, the ugly. It is not scripted whatsoever. But the issue about clones, it's very hot. It's very highly debated, and I'm not here to say buy a clone or don't buy a clone. I'm here simply just to show you what this looks like, and you can make up your own mind whether you want to pay more for a design support perspective, supporting the people who came up with the actual set, or if you might not have the money but you really love the colorway and you want to get something that looks like that, then buying a clone set like what we're going to have a look at today may be that option for you. The moral and ethical aspects of doing that, that's entirely up to you. And I'm not pushing either way. I'm only here purely to look at what you're actually going to get from if you were to get this set. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's have a look at what we should be expecting to see, what we're hoping to see. So the set that we're actually going to see today is the Future Funk keycap set. It is a Future Funk themed keycap set, and should have white alphas with black legends and a range of colors. What I can say here is, compared to the original, the colors on this are a bit more muted from the actual pictures of the set here on the listing compared to what was the original design intent from those who created and ran this set. So this is meant to be PBT in a cherry profile. So it follows that Future Funk theme, which is kind of like a bit of a retro, bit of a vaporware, some really bright pop colors that stick out. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for, and I want to see the quality of the actual die subbing and colors, depending on how it's made, the quality of the actual keycaps, the stems, sprue marks, thickness, all of that kind of stuff that I normally look at. And then of course it's up to you to decide on what you want to do with this review. So you can see there, that's the actual price range that you can expect if you were to get this from Banggood or potentially any other vendors. Right, let's head on to, there's the actual package. Came relatively quick. It rattles a lot, so the packaging isn't super fantastic in terms of protection. Hopefully nothing was too badly damaged from transit. COVID shipping at the moment is also really challenging, so I can't say whether the shipping time that I experienced for this was or is what you might expect if you were to get it yourself. Okay, so obviously I need to cut this a bit more open, and then I can brute strength it. Right, so course, it would be really funny if they didn't send me the Future Funk set, but something else. Right, so there's nothing else going on there. Wow, it is a extremely nondescript box. There's no labels, no markings. There's only this sticker here with an SKU on it, which I can't even see on the product page if that SKU matches to what we're expecting. So let's get into that. Come on. Wow. Okay. Rip the box. And there you go. Well, it's a nice plastic tray set. It's triple tray. So there's a base tray which is completely empty, which is cool, and then you've actually got 2 layers there, and I suppose the keycaps are just jiggling around in that. So let's just put that aside temporarily, and it's been taped, which I guess helps. Go. And there we go. Okay, so that first layer comes off, and there's that second layer, and there is that top cover. First impressions, it's actually a lot brighter than the listing pictures make it look. So let's just hold it up a bit closer so we can actually check them out. So that yellow enter, blue shift, control, we go all the way to the escape tab, caps lock, shift control, the alphas, and then onto that second layer. I don't want to accidentally knock this thing over and have them all going everywhere. So a quick sort of skim through. That escape is actually quite bright, quite vibrant, much more vibrant than I thought it was going to be. And then you can sort of see some of those legends. So first and foremost, if we look at it from a and that's exactly what I was kind of trying to avoid. So you got some media keys down here, which is nice. You've even got that music icon there from the actual Future Funk theme itself, since funk is all about music. Right, so let's just hold that up, and you'll hopefully kind of, maybe not, the reflection's killing it, but it is indeed cherry profile. So let's just put that down underneath for now. Making an absolute mess of this, working with these trays, aren't I? Okay. Right, so let's pop out one of these. Oh, as much as the tray is cool, getting out a keycap by itself is a pain. Let's just grab some in here. Oh. No? What in the dickens? There we go. Alright, so let's have a look at the first thing, is how thick are these keycaps? So everyone likes to know about how thick keycaps are because they want thick keycaps, and these are measuring in quite nicely at nearly 1.5 to a just over 1, but under 1.5. I'll bring that up so you can see that. That's closer to the one side, closer to 1.5, and closer to the 1. So there is a little bit of variance there. The actual stems are really thin, and so what I'm talking about there with the really thin is, bring that into focus, the areas above and below the plus, it's actually quite thin. There are other caps that are thicker. So if you are going to use thicker stems on these, you might need to be a little bit careful because that could be prone to cracking. Now this is dye sub because obviously you're not going to get that double shot, so none of that legend is peeking through the bottom there. But let's have a look at how crisp. Now an X is, it should be pretty crisp, right? Like you got some good lines and you should have some good intersections there. And we're just going to use the jeweler's loop. It's not super duper crisp. It's definitely not as crisp as you could get it if you were using a double shot. But come on, staying in focus is actually really hard. Wow, that's focusing on the actual lens rather than through it. But maybe that'll just give it an idea to you if it'll focus. Yeah, there we go. It's not too bad. From a distance, it does actually look not too bad. But if you do want to be really picky in terms of its crispness, the edge does actually have some color bleed there. And this isn't really a black, it's really a dark purple. It is actually coming up as quite that dark purple, which I guess if it's matching the darkness purple there, then that's actually probably doing a really good job of that. I'm not super familiar with this set because it's not a set that I have actually jumped into. That kind of theme is not really my general space, but I can appreciate it. So that's okay. Something that I've kind of really noticed though with these is the legend quality is actually a little bit on the low side because of the letter T. So how sharp your legends are going to be, if we have a look at this shift key, the T and the F, the crossbar on that is just these tiny little nubs. It's almost an L, right? Like if you got any thinner, any smaller than that, then you'd be looking at, shiffle or shill, as it were. The arrow itself is actually pretty crisp. I'm pretty happy with how crisp that arrow is, but the nubs on the T there, looking at it from far enough, it's pretty close to not being what it should be. And similarly, for example, on this control, that T is so small, the nub on the control is so small that it actually almost looks like conlol. So that's just something to be aware of. If you want really crisp lettering on that, you're not going to get that here. Backspace looks okay. The other legends, I'm not really spotting any issues there. They're clean enough, but you can kind of see a little bit of that fuzziness on some of those roundings. And then if we go to the second layer, I think the one that really sticks out for me when I was looking at them earlier is this escape key. That pink escape key it's quite fuzzy. It is really fuzzy. So the lettering on that doesn't look fantastic. That contrast, it does actually make the S and the C look a lot blurrier. What are you doing? Get to bed, miss. That was just my daughter, who should be in bed, not being in bed. The joys of doing reviews at night when you think that you have a little bit of quiet time. Okay, so if I go back to the white legended escape and I compare the two straight up, the white on the dark is so much cleaner, whereas the black on that pink or the purple on that pink you can see it's much muddier in just how it presents, and the width of the actual dyeing, it just feels like the E, for example, is fatter. The S at the bend is fatter. Like you've lost a lot of that crispness and clarity in regards to using that particular black on that pink. So that's, maybe it's so bright that the white light that I'm using here, the ring light, it's saturating it. But maybe if I can get it so it's not angled too badly, you can kind of see how sharp it's almost. The white on black, or the white on the dark purple, whatever you want to call it, is so much cleaner and sharper in this bright light than that black on the pink. So if you were really hoping that was going to be nice and clean, that may also disappoint you. Right. Well, there's not very much else that I can do besides just a general fitment. So what I've got here is a novelty cream switch. Nothing too exotic out there. It is quite a popular switch for some people. This is one that I've used before in other videos. So we'll just pick, I don't know, let's go with the W key. Why not? And test fit it. So that went on really, really easily, like crazy easy. Just doing the flick test, and yeah, they're a little bit loose. They're a little bit loose. With the flick test, they actually come off the stem just a little bit. Not too much, but it is something to be aware of. Yeah, that is loose. I wouldn't say it's too bad, but they slip on and off this cream switch stem really, really easily. I don't expect that that's going to be a major issue, but compared to some other keycaps out there, that's actually quite loose. Okay, so let's try with this up arrow. Okay, so that one's much better. That one's not sliding back up, and it is a little bit firmer. Right, so let's try the Numpad 5. I didn't even feel any resistance of that going on. That just went in super smooth. Yeah, that one's also coming up maybe a mil and a little bit on the stem on the flick test. So your results may actually vary on this. Let's try our newfound pinks. Okay, a little bit of resistance there. That's all right. That one feels like it wants to move, but it hasn't actually lifted enough on the flick test for me to definitively say that it will. So maybe it's more profile related, because that is row 1 and it's a deeper stem, whereas that one is going to be, what's that, a row 2, 1, 1, 2. So let's go down to, say, our good friend X here that we looked at earlier and try that, because that's going to be one of the more shallower keys. "50-50. Some of those flicks it was moving, some of those flicks it wasn't moving. So, you know what? I'm actually okay with that. Overall, they're holding pretty well against the stem here on a cream switch. Nothing too horrible. I know that some of the other keycaps that I've actually tried in the past, they were flicking right off. Some artisans, for example, do that too, quite readily. So that's it. I think I'm going to wrap there. What can I say in conclusion? Colors, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how bright some of these are. The pink and the blue is actually quite bright. It does have a bit more pop than I thought. That yellow though, the color of it is probably still quite muted. The pictures make it look like it's a bit more faded, a bit more whitish, whereas that's actually got a lot more saturation in it. I don't have a color meter or anything that I can definitively give you what that looks like. Only the fact that I'm using a cool white light here in this video, and whatever, you know, OBS's natural white balance is doing, the auto exposure is correcting for that. In terms of the legend crispness, they're okay. It could be better. You can see some of that color bleed on the actual edges of these lines if you want to look close enough. On some of these, like, whoa, what happened there? just having a look at the double legends here, that hash, I don't know if that's meant to be, but that's a really atrocious hash compared to other fonts. It's so small. It's so small and inconsistent against the other dual items. You know, you like your dollar value. I'm just having a look at my other set there, and you look at how small that hash is. It's like half the size of the dollar sign. So that wasn't cool. They should have picked a bigger hash key there. So look, there are definitely some flaws. But for the price point that it's at, it's up to you to decide if it's going to be valid for you, and if you like this colorway and how readily available it might be to your circumstances. Now, if you do want to check it out, you're going to head over to Banggood and have a look at it yourself. There'll be a link to the description, to the actual product in the video description below. It's up to you. I'm not going to be fussed either way. But if you do like the way that I check out Keycaps and my thoughts on this set, you know, hit that like button. If you don't like this kind of stuff, you don't like the things that I'm saying about this, you don't like the fact that I'm even doing a video on a clone Keycap set, then hit that dislike button. That's fine. Leave me a comment below, you know, give me your thoughts. And if you're new to this channel, you want to keep supporting me and giving me the opportunity to do this kind of stuff more, then hit that subscribe button as well. Well, that's it. There is Future Funk themed PBT cherry profile keycap set available from Banggood. That's a wrap. Thank you for checking out this video, and of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.